The F122 game is here, a new era of Formula 1, a new era for multiplayer racing. Okay, so about the same then. Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to a brand new video here today. This is my very first video on F122 online with some social play open lobbies. Now, yesterday was the official day one of the game launch, where everyone, apart from Steam players and PC for 8 hours, could play the game with Champions Edition. We got to see for the very first time the very odd and creepy looking F1 Life multiplayer lobby. And for the very first time, I got to take the car out for some online racing. Now, the F1 game online is interesting, to say the least, in open lobbies. You know, you don't really know what you're going to be met with. But we started off here with the Austrian Grand Prix. On pole position, we've got a grid of 19. So, one thing is guaranteed, I'm not going to be surviving turn 1, or am I? I was actually pleasantly surprised. We made it through. And I look back behind me in the load of NPC cars, as I'm likening them to, because everyone since it was day one just had the generic F1 white and red livery, so they pretty much look like NPC cars to me in my mirrors. But to my surprise, that was actually a very clean race, a very dull one actually, because I just went on to win that race. So we've already won. We're already winning races on day one on F122 multiplayer, and I'm very surprised that, you know, full grid and myself on pole, we didn't get no-scoped into turn 1. I then wanted to head out to one of the new tracks in the game, the brand new Australia layout, and we were met with our resident Australian YouTuber in the lobby as well. So kind of neat as well. 10 years on from when myself and Ben first started making videos, we were in the same lobby then day one. And of course, as soon as he joined the lobby, that's when the chaos began. A horrendous lap 1. I don't know what was happening. It seemed like the people lagging were actually getting bad starts, so I don't know if there's a connection right now at the moment in online with if you're lagging, you maybe get a worse start or you're unable to pull away as quickly, but that was a bit of a haphazard lap 1, and we've got some making up to do as we now find ourselves making our way up the order from P11 now up into P9 on lap 2, and honestly just trying to be as consistent as possible so that we just make up positions with people getting used to the new handling system, like that man over there and like the two men that have already spanned before us, because many people are not used to the handling model, and that includes Ben as he spins at the second last corner. But to be honest, even for those of us who've had a fair few laps on the game, you'll notice if you play this game for yourself, there's just random moments where you're supremely confident on throttle, and then you spin it. And right on cue, the car ahead of us spins it. We can't get out the way. There's no ghosting there, so I unfortunately just didn't have enough reaction time to get out. And then I have a half spin myself as we went off circuit. And there goes Tiametmarduk flying by, back up ahead of us into P5. But we're going to chase down Ben and keep at it into turn 1, lap 4. Oh, and he's gone again into the wall. And we're back up into P4. I think there's a pattern for myself and Ben are just swapping spins effectively on day one. That's you may as well retitle the video Tiametmarduk and aarava spend a day spinning for the very first day on this game in multiplayer. But no, we actually kind of keep the spins to a minimal then, and on the last lap of the race we're going to do a bit of a into the barrier under pressure moment here, because we're going to pile on the pressure onto Bad Duck Dinny in third place, one of the few cars with some colour on the grid here, so kudos to that. But we're going to pile the pressure, and it all gets a bit too much for him. He spins it into the wall with only 2 corners to go, and just like that, we've gone from last place to a podium, third place, not too shabby, and we've done it literally in the last couple of corners of this race. So, so far, yeah, we've had some pretty decent racing, you know, so some good pace. We've seen definitely people getting used to the new handling model, and then we came to the Imola race. I used the custom grid to push myself and Ben towards the back of the grid to try and see how far up the order we could get. 5 red lights are out, and then I actually just don't know what happened here on lap 1. But this first turn is just a kink, and yet about 10 cars span it, had collisions. We've got a 5-wide T-bone situation. We've got cars spinning all over the place. I'm basically boxed in, and I'm too afraid to go into the mess, whereas Ben has, ahead of me, 5 cars, and then lo and behold, obviously, I'm going to see him facing backwards. I don't know why. I felt he was a bit overconfident in that area. I just saw him go into the sea of cars, and I thought, well, that's not ending well, is it? And yeah, so, I don't know what game the others were playing, like everyone, apart from myself and Ben, what game they were playing into turn 1, which is not even a turn here at Imola, of that race, but it clearly wasn't F1. It possibly could have been Beyblades with all this spinning around, but, you know, that's unconfirmed sources. So we're now trying to make our way through this as best we can on lap 2 up into P13 with a bit of ERS usage, but trying to save a bit, obviously, for the end of the race, maybe, where we can make some last-minute overtakes. But as we're about to see, we may not even need to use some ERS here, because Sharon Needle really needed some grip on the exit there as they spin left, and we're up into P12 then, nearly back into a points-paying position. We're one of the few drivers without a penalty here, so we're doing very well. But then my decision-making here was just poor. You can clearly see, everyone can see, I should be not getting into this fight with these 6 or 5 cars. This was never going to end well, but I decided, oh, screw it, we'll just get our nose stuck in. We go 3 abreast, and we're trying just to keep the slipstream of GT James. We get then pushed round by Extent in the yellow, and then we just take a bit too much curb, lose the back end, catch the spin, take someone else out for good measure. We actually destroy his race, ironically, and we're back down to square one, P13 behind Suzuka Shark now. So by the end of the race then, I actually Ben caught up with myself as we're battling for 1 measly point here. The battle of the century this is between 2 F1 YouTubers here for 1 championship point in this race. We're going to have to dodge a car on the exit. It's now for 2 points here. P9 is on the cards as we're now going to be side by side into the last 2 corners. We go deep, but wanting to give Ben the room, and into the final Ben. He gets the lunge and he's able to get it. We just don't have the traction there. Misclick the ERS, and it's oh so close. It's literally nose to tail in the Imola race. So things are getting exciting, things are getting pretty damn chaotic. But it was now time to end off day 1 on F1 22 multiplayer with a duel from the front row. Ben on pole position, myself in second. It's a bit of a slow getaway for me, but we're going to have a decent break zone into turn 1. Ben with a lock-up there, nearly going straight on, but manages to hold it through, and we have now got a good run. You almost want to be here in second place at Spa when you're battling for the lead, because as we go up the hill then, through Eau Rouge, up Radion, and then now the Kemmel Straight, we've got the tow, we've got ERS, but we're not going to need it. We're going to save it for later in the race and instead use the pure slipstream. Down the inside we go. At the end of the Kemmel Straight, Ben locks up again for the 2nd time in this race, and we're up into P1 there. So the Aussie feeling the pressure on lap 1, but we go too defensive, and Ben with an absolute biblical dive bomb on the outside. We're now side by side through this section, down the crest. We're going to be wheel to wheel on the exit, and we're almost banging tyres there. It is oh so close as we go into Pouon there. On the outside, we'll be on the worst line, getting on the curb on the outside, but we'll keep our foot in, and this is a real exquisite fight. To say this is literally the first time outing, racing each other on this game. And this is, like I said, it's kind of nice in a way that I haven't been in an open lobby with Ben for a long while. It was kind of a nice vibe, after 10 years, since the first game where we started making videos with each other on F1 2012, that we're now having a race here. And having some races, some pretty chaotic ones so far, and now maybe a duel on this one. Although, Mr. Third Place Josh M wants to ruin the party a little bit. Down the inside he goes and uses a lot of ERS. We're still saving quite a bit, so we're having to try and re-overtake him for 2nd place. And this is holding us up, and much like when you fight AI in career mode, if you fight them too much, you're going to lose out to the opposition you really want to fight. And so we're losing ground to Ben, being stuck now behind in the dirty air. We get a wonderful exit, but we're just getting frustrated, unable to make a move into Pouon, trying to be as tight as we can on the racing line just to give us a good launch into the next sector. Going a bit off circuit to make the room, but needs must as we now dive back down the inside to get into 2nd place and now we can try and chase after and bridge the gap to Ben, but he's got a commanding lead. But as always with YouTubers, sometimes they make mistakes. Sometimes they go completely wide as their brakes fail. Some would say Ben's brakes almost were on fire at that corner, and his engineer was very worried about his durability in this race. And that means now we have a fight on our hands again on lap 3. But unfortunately, Josh M is still there behind us. We've got DRS open. We're still saving ERS. I'm very wary of that, but we're going to be side by side again for the second time. But Josh M comes through on the inside. We're a bit wary of spinning out, and he gets to move back into second place. We're being overcautious there. I think maybe with more aggression, I could have kept second place. Maybe could have been fourth first place. At this point, I was hoping we could try and get back past Josh in the same way we did on the previous lap. But overconfidence is your worst enemy on this game. And I ran out of talent effectively on lap 3. And well, our race is in the bin. But you know what? That's not to worry. Because like I said, YouTubers have a knack of their car going wrong at the right time. And I had a gearbox failure on lap 4. It was actually quite a nightmare. I couldn't get out past, first gear. And lo and behold, the gearbox fixed itself as Ben rounded the corner for his last lap of the Grand Prix. I'm a lap down, but we can still have some decent racing. So we go again now for another scrap on the Kemmel Straight. Maybe we're going to be side by side a drag race with DRS open, but maybe Ben using a bit of ERS. We use some ERS to try and get a bit of an edge, but I want to save enough for the last straight here on the outside. We will maintain first position, and we've saved a lot of ERS from being lapped down, so we should be in a good position to re-attack Ben if he's able to overtake us here. Just watching out for where he is behind us, wary looking in the mirrors, but for now we're ahead of him on track. Of course, I said first place. It's first place between me and him right now. Obviously, in the grand scheme of things, we're bottom dead last, but at the moment, for all intents and purposes, this is the battle of the century. This is what everyone has wanted to see for years and years. Here we go, Ben on the outside making a big lunge, and he's got the move, but we want to be behind him for this next section. Bit of a wily old fox trying to strategy going on here as we wait to be behind with the toe to use all that extra ERS we have to good use. We're going to pull in, bend on the grass a bit. We're going to pull on the left-hand side. We're now going to be side by side down into Blanchimont before the bus stop chicane. Little lift off to give him the room to make it work. We don't want to spin here in this case. And now the dive on the outside. We go deep. Ben real tight on the line. We're going to meet at the apex there. A little bit of oversteer does it for me. And Ben will therefore come through to spin across the line for the first place in this race. But that has been F1 22 multiplayer day 1. If you have enjoyed it, hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you want to see more, then let me know as well. If you're new around here, get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. Episode 3 of My Team is coming later today. Till then, goodbye.